Good good morning, students. Good morning, class 6 student. Now almost we already completed the three chapters of English reader, as well as we have done the exercises of the chapters. We already completed the whole exercises of the chapter: fill in the blanks, true false, matchups and MCQs, and explanation of the chapter, as well as the hard words of the chapter. Now today we are going to discuss about fourth chapter. The name of the fourth chapter is An Indian American Woman in Space, Kalpana Chawla. All of you know this one is the first Indian lady who goes to the space in 1997. So let us read about the story of Kalpana Chawla. In 1997, an Indian American Kalpana Chawla was part of the international crew aboard the US Space Shuttle Columbia, become the first woman born in India to go to into space. Sadly, the second mission of in Columbia ended in tragedy. Means at the time of second, whenever second time is going to space, what had happened after doing a research on the space. After that, they are coming on the Earth, but in between the Earth and the space, their aircraft may be crashed. The spacecraft may be crashed. So that's why it happens. So now let us learn about this. An Indian American woman in space, Kalpana Chawla. Before reading this, some words are there. The space shuttle in a spacecraft that is made up of repeat space travel, unlike a rocket, for example, between the Earth and the space stations. Right? So, here is no use to read this one. So, let us start the chapter. A news report. This one is a news report. Target in space. Tragedy. I'm sorry. Tragedy in space. US Space Shuttle Columbia break into flames. क्या हुआ था? The space shuttle Columbia breaks in a space, in between the space and the Earth. So let us start the chapter. Kalpana Chawla said that she never dreamed as a child in Karnal. She born in Karnal. Karnal, all of you know that. Kalpana Chawla said that she never dreamed as a child in Karnal that she would cross the Fortuner of space. It was enough that her parents allowed her to attend engineering college after she graduated from Tagore School. After a Bachelor of Science degree in aeronautical, she did the schooling in aeronautic engineering. Aeronautic engineering is, you know, is this one is a study of some related to something related to a space. Again, against great options from her father, she went to the master degree to the United States of America. After doing schooling, she went to United States of America to a master degree. She later earned her PhD in aerospace engineering. After that, what had happened after completing his engineering, she did a PhD on aeronautic engineering. Kalpana Chawla was the first Indian American woman aeronautic in blast off from the launch pad of the Cape Canaveral, Florida, and participate in a successful mission in space. Her family from Indian cheered along with staff and the Kennedy Space Center as they watched the Columbia liftoff at that particular time period when she was coming from the space. So students, now the I tell you the thing. You can read the chapter, but before that, I tell you the summary of this chapter. An Indian American woman in space summary. Right? It's a summary. Summary means the overall, the conclusion of the chapter. You can read the chapter because after reading a chapter you get understand the story of the Kalpana Chawla. But I tell you in short the story of the Kalpana Chawla. As a child, Kalpana never dreamed of space travel. It was not sufficient for her to graduate from an engineering college. After graduating in aeronautic engineering from Punjab Engineering College, she went for a master's degree to the United States. In spite of her father options, later she did her PhD in the subject. She had the pride of being the first Indian born American woman astronaut to blast off from Florida and be a part of the successful space mission. Kalpana was born in Kerala, Karnal. Kalpana was born in Karnal. Karnal is in where Haryana, but was an but was a naturalized U.S. citizen. She married a flight instructor, Jean Perry Harrison. Part of part apart from being an as astronaut, she was also trained to fly a single and multi-engineering land airplanes, single seaplanes, and gliders. She was a certified flight instructor. After qualifying as a pilot, she did to apply to NASA Space Shuttle program and was selected for training as an astronaut. She was an extraordinary woman who thought differently and was enthusiastic and optimistic. Her first space mission was 16 days long. During this time, she traveled 10.45 million kilometers in 252 orbits. The crew had 7 members and they conducted 80 experiments. They also checked if food could be grown in space, how stronger metals and faster computer chips could be created. The news of Columbia disaster made everyone grief stricken. A shock wave was spread everywhere. A journalist called her a heroine. She had enormous potential and wide information knowledge of each subject. Her achievements were actually marvelous. She created history and become an inspiration for everyone. Her life is tremendous testimony that dreams can get success. The only thing we need to make them a reality is courage and vision. She is an Indian American woman in space. So we learned about this chapter, these things. So after a Bachelor of Science degree in Aeronautical Engineering, against great options from her father, she went for a master degree of the United States of America. She later earned her PhD in aerospace engineering. Kalpana Chawla was the first Indian American woman astronaut to blast off the launch pad at Cape Canaveral, Florida, and participate in a successful mission in space. Her family from Indian cheered along with staff and the Kennedy Space Center, and they watched the Columbia liftoff. So this one is the story of Kalpana Chawla, right? So students, you have to learn the chapter as well as you have to write the word meanings of the chapter, right? So now once more I tell you the summary of the chapter. So what you do is after listening this you have to find out You have to find out the answers of the question and the hard words of the chapter. So the summary is like that Kalpana Chawla never dreamed of space travel. It was not sufficient for her to graduate from engineering college. After graduating as an astronaut engineering from Punjab Engineering College, she went for masters. She went for a master's degree to the United States in spite of her father options oppositions. Later, she did her PhD in the subject. She had the pride of being the first Indian born American woman astronaut to blast off the Florida and be a part of successful space mission. Kalpana was born in Karnal, Haryana but was naturalized US citizen. She married a flight instructor, Jeans Peterson, Petrie Harrison. Apart from being an astronaut, she was also trained to fly single and multi engineering land airplanes, single seaplanes, and gliders. She was a certified flight instructor. After qualifying a pilot, she did apply to NASA Space Shuttle program and was selected for training as an astronaut. She was an extraordinary woman who thought differently and was an enthusiastic and optimistic. Her first space mission was 16 days long. During this time, she traveled 10.45 million kilometers in 252 orbits. The crew had 7 members and they conducted 80 experiments. They also checked if food could be grown in space or not, how stronger metals and faster computer chips would be created. The news of Columbia disaster made be everyone. A shock wave has spread everywhere. A journalist called her become a heroine. She had enormous potential and wide information, knowledge of each subject. Her achievements were actually marvelous. She created history and become an inspiration. Become an inspiration, and her achievements were actually marvelous for everyone. Her life is a tremendous testimony that dreams can get success. The only thing is that we need to make them a reality in courage and vision. So this one is all about the chapter. Students, you have to learn the chapter, and then after you have to we are going to write down the word meanings and the question and answers, fill ups, true, false, and so many things are in this chapter. And definitely we'll go through that. So don't worry about that. So till then, thank you. Have a nice day. Take care of yourself.